Lila Lily was nominated for Best Actress at her first film festival and asked my fiancé Ethan for a gift, the string of prayer beads he never leaves without. I in the spotlight. Ethan took them off himself and put them on his childhood sweetheart. He was so focused and devout. The media later found out that I begged for those prayer beads one step at a time. I waited for a day and a night in front of the Buddhist temple that night. Ethan took a plane to that Buddhist temple and found the prayer letter. I had written under a 1,000-year-old tree, "May Ethan and Sia be together for a long time." The finalists for the major awards of the festival were announced, and Lila Lily and I were both shortlisted for Best Actress. At the dinner where the nominees were announced, my agent, Zhou, took me by the arm and whispered to me, Wei, the movie Lila Lily won for is the return. The one you didn't make. I nodded lightly. I knew, while filming this most recent movie, I had an accident and damaged my lower back muscle, requiring me to rest for 6 months, and by that time, the return was already about to start. Lila Lily had just announced that she was returning to the US to enter the entertainment industry. Ethan made a deal to replace me with Lila Lily as the lead actress. Was I upset? Of course I was. Ethan is my boyfriend and our relationship has been very stable. We haven't announced it to the public, but we're getting engaged. He was twirling the prayer beads on his right wrist, and his tone was like he was talking about something very insignificant. Wei, don't be too childish. You can't let the whole crew wait for you alone. I knew he was right, but Lila Lily and he grew up together. And Ethan has been by her side ever since she returned to China. Even the engagement has been put off. It's hard not to think about it. Lila Lily is here, is the big favorite for Best Actress this time. There was a sudden commotion around me. I looked up to see a crowd of reporters gathered at the entrance of the gala. Lila Lily was wearing a black low-waisted evening gown, looking sexy and glamorous. Ethan was also there, in a dark blue suit. The reporters were very excited. Mr. Chow from the entertainment company is here too. This is big news. Doesn't he never show up at such occasions? Don't you know the gossip that's been going around lately? It's about Ethan and Lila. The two used to be lovers, but they separated because Ms. Liu had a heart condition and had to go abroad for treatment. Now that they've been cured, it's finally time for lovers to get married. The flash crackled, and my ears were filled with the enthusiastic discussions of the entertainers. I stood in the corner and did not want to continue listening, turned around to leave. But just as I was about to leave, a sentence dragged me back. A reporter was holding up a microphone and was interviewing Lila Lily. Ms. Liu, the return is a billion-dollar project. You just returned to China. How did you receive the script? Lila Lily smiled gently. She looked up at Ethan, who was standing to the side with a sweet tone. It's all thanks to Kagawa. He introduced me to the director. I don't know if Kagawa remembers, but we also made a bet that if I could be shortlisted for Best Actress this time, you'd give me a gift. Ethan lowered his head. He softly hummed. What do you want? A reporter whispered in discussion. If it were me, I would want a villa. Or an unlimited credit card with no limit. Boss Chow is so generous. He's not afraid of Lila Lily asking for a lot of money. At this moment, Lila Lily spoke up. She held Ethan's right wrist. I want these prayer beads. I gave Ethan these prayer beads. There was a time when his company was growing particularly fast, but it also offended a lot of people. The Wright family coveted his power, and when he was on a business trip, they bribed his assistant and kidnapped him to the suburbs. For 3 whole days, he couldn't be contacted at all. The police reassured me to relax. But how could I relax? 3,000 stone steps led to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I went up on her knees, step by step. It was pouring rain that day, and I begged outside all night, and the next morning I finally waited for news of his safe return. Before I left, I hung a wishing sign on the old tree of the Buddhist temple. May Ethan and Sia have a long and happy life. The prayer beads were given to me by the temple elders. The prayer beads were given to me by the temple elders, saying that they can bless a person with peace, health, and good fortune. I personally put it on Ethan's right wrist. He was lying in the hospital at that time. His body was weak, and he laughed at me for being superstitious, but he never took it off again. At this moment, I unconsciously held my breath, waiting for Ethan's response. What would he do? He seemed to freeze. His brow furrowed and his left hand touched his right wrist out of habit. For a moment, I thought he would refuse. But next, Lily asked, I heard that this string of prayer beads can bless a person with no illnesses or calamities. Hechuan, is this true? Ethan seems to have come back to his senses. Without hesitation, he removes the prayer beads from his wrist, pulling over Lily's hand. He put it on. He bowed his head. His expression looked serious and pious. Yin, you're sick. Get well quickly. The string of beads was finally given away by Ethan. The news was trending on social media the next day. #Ethan Lily. Made a bet. #Ethan hand-dressed Lily. In prayer beads. #Ethan Lily. So hi. Someone commented at the bottom. Isn't that prayer beads precious to Mr. Chow? Never let anyone touch it. I didn't expect to give it away just like that. TSK. Depends on who it's for. Lila and Ethan are childhood friends. Childhood sweethearts. Reunited after a long time. It's so good. These prayer beads are from St. Patrick's Cathedral. I heard it's the best place to pray for peace. Many celebrities go there to worship Buddha. Upstairs. Right. I met an actress, Sia, at St. Patrick's Cathedral 2 years ago. And I even took some photos. Let me look for them. My God, it was raining so hard. She was kneeling so reverently. Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. 3,000 steps on her knees. Step by step. I want to know how close someone is to her that she deserves to beg like this. The discussion on the microblogging plaza gradually drifted off topic and shifted to me. The fan who met me uploaded a few photos and a video. In the pouring rain, I knelt on the stone steps with my hands folded, looking in the direction of the temple. Some people commented if something had happened to me on my own. There were also heartbroken fans who said outright, watching it made me cry. If someone prayed for me like this, I would definitely be good to her for the rest of my life. My manager, Sister Zhou, knows about what happened between Ethan and me. She saw trending on social media and asked me if I wanted to contact Zhou Hechuan to deal with public opinion in advance. I shook my head. I can't contact him at this time. He's on a plane to Scandinavia. With Lily. When Ethan put the prayer beads on Lily's wrist at the dinner party, for a moment, I almost felt like I couldn't breathe. Is it possible to transfer a wish that has been sought and received so freely? I don't know how the party ended. Later, I returned to my hotel bedroom in a state of confusion, and I still couldn't calm down. I didn't turn on the light. I sat alone in the dark for a long time. I didn't understand, didn't comprehend. What did he see in my heart? And what did he see me as? I called Ethan twice, neither of which connected. I then didn't call again. It just so happened that I wanted to ask him in person. Ethan's room was on the top floor of the hotel, 3 floors away from mine. Afraid of being seen by people who didn't know what was going on, I went up the fire escape to look for him. I walked all the way to the door of his room. The moment I knocked on the door, I realized I was afraid that it would be Lily, who opened the door. I shook my head and laughed to myself that I didn't even have that much trust in Ethan now. The door opened from the inside. What appeared was neither Lily nor Ethan, but Ethan's assistant, Uncle Dan. Uncle Dan froze when he saw me. Nianwei, why are you here? I want to talk to Hechuan. Uncle Dan has been following Ethan since he started his business, and I've known him for 5 or 6 years, when we were at our worst. We used to eat street food together in a rented house. He quickly realized why I came here. Uncle Dan scratched the tip of his nose. He left the hotel. The return is going to be in the European Film Festival this week, and he just took a plane to Norway. With Lily. I don't even know how I asked that. Uncle Dan looked at me with a bit of sympathy in his eyes. Well, they're both on the same flight. It's a day and night flight, so they won't be able to get in touch for a while. I let out a hund. He didn't even tell me. I felt stupid. Ethan was always like that. If he was sure about something, he wouldn't put more effort into anything else. It's like a few days ago, I told him that the movie I'm participating in the film festival is going to start premiere screenings in another city this week, and that I've reserved a front row seat for him, so I'd like to watch it with him then. But probably he forgot. Uncle Dan rubbed his hands together apologetically. He wanted to say something else. I think it was all comforting. But I didn't want to hear it anymore. I waved my hand at him and turned to leave, walking to the fire escape. I couldn't help myself and sat down on the steps. A single tear fell. I knew that it was time for me to make up my mind. I thought about it a lot. Thinking about how Ethan used to seem so nice to me, would fly halfway around the world to come to my birthday, would stay up all night when I had a fever, but he's taken all that goodness back now and given it to another girl. Love and no love. It's really quite obvious. I end that case. Ethan, why don't we just get along and not contact each other in the future? The invitation to Ethan and his engagement celebration was not extensive, and only a few of my closest family members and friends were notified. There were only a few dozen people in total, because Lily suddenly came back from abroad. The engagement celebration that was scheduled last week was postponed, and we haven't set a date yet now that I think about it. It was a good thing to postpone. A marriage that doesn't work should be stopped before it starts. I found the contact number for the wedding hotel and dialed it. It was now 1 a.m. The person in charge there was surprisingly still awake and quickly picked up. I am a little embarrassed to disturb so late, talking about things like canceling the banquet. The other party's attitude was polite. It's okay, we have no problem with that. It's okay, we have no problem at all. Of course. The deposit of $60,000 is non-refundable. I agreed without hesitation. Ethan paid the deposit, not me. I asked this amount of money, not a drop in the bucket for him. I edited a text message. Sorry for the disturbance to your family and friends. Sienna, Sia, and Ethan will not be going together in the future due to personal conflicts. Of course, we are still friends. Engagement celebration is cancelled. Sorry for the disturbance. I read the text message and sent it out as a group. This hour, everyone should be asleep. Finally, I hacked all of Ethan's contacts, turned off the phone, breathed a long sigh of relief. Break with the past. I rubbed my face. Sienna, Sia, it's time for you to start a new life too. With that done, I stood up. It felt like I had accomplished something big, and my body was tired, awake, and exhausted. When I was going down the stairs from the fire escape, I wasn't paying attention and almost stepped off the steps. Luckily, someone just passed by and pulled me back. I kept my head down, didn't see the person clearly, and only focused on softly thanking them. But then I heard a somewhat familiar voice. Sienna, Sia? I raised my head. The person in front of me was wearing a simple white shirt and jeans. Ty, the last movie star, this time with his new movie, has been nominated again for this year's festival. He is the only young actor who has been nominated for 2 consecutive years. Speaking of which, we both went to college together, but he's a gifted player. A child star, and has already done 3 or 4 TV dramas before he even entered college, and am barely the hardworking type, stumbling my way to this point. Luckily, one movie is always a little bit better than the next. I knew Ty had been invited to the dinner, but I didn't expect to run into him here and now on a late-night stairwell. I was a little surprised. Ty, what are you doing here? He smiled and his tone was gentle. Couldn't sleep? Insomnia these days. Plus, I was bored and thought I'd come out to read the script. He said had taken on a new movie with some complex characters, so he wanted to spend more time mulling it over. I didn't want to go to sleep either. So I stood in front of the window of the fire escape with him, looking at the moon and chatting at the same time. We chatted about the things we used to do when we were in college, the days when we were just filming, and the showbiz industry that was getting more and more glamorous lately. We chatted. I casually asked, when is this latest movie of yours going to start shooting? I don't know, the female lead hasn't been decided yet. Ty turned his head and looked at me somewhat seriously. Nianwei, do you want to try? Me. He nodded. That role fits you quite well. He even handed the script to me, asking me to take it back and read it. After my back injury, I took a few months off. My next movie deal was still a long way off. The films chosen by Ty's team are at least guaranteed in terms of quality. I took the script, and after a little thought, I agreed first. Okay, I'll go back and take a look. I'll call you if I can. We talked for almost 2 hours or so. Then it was after 3 in the morning and I yawned, a little sleepy. Ty smiled and walked me to the door of my room. When he was about to leave, he paused and asked, Nianwei, are you having a bad day? He pointed to his eyes, teary-eyed. Oh, crying. I shook my head. It's over. And more bad moods for irrelevant people. Ty glanced at me. hesitated for a split second, and in the next moment, took a piece of origami paper out of his pocket. I just tore a piece of paper from the script. I was bored and folded it. I'll give it to you.A. Flower. Delicate and pretty. I took it, Rose. His voice was soft. Moonflower. I was stunned. Few people remembered that I liked moonflowers. Even when Ethan gave me flowers, it was often roses. I looked at Liu Yin when I was in college. I had rejected him once. After so many years in the entertainment industry, I thought he had long forgotten that youthful past. Liu Yin opened his mouth. The knot in his throat rolled twice, as if he wanted to say something. However, when he opened his mouth, it was just a simple sentence. Take care of yourself. Don't push too hard. I slept well that night, probably because I had let go of a worry. I didn't wake up until noon the next day. Then my manager, Ms. Chow, came to me and asked me to look at the trendings on social media last night's incident of Ethan gifting Lily, prayer beads and my inexplicably being photographed by a fan kneeling in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral praying for peace that year. I told Sister Chow there was no need to contact Ethan. He's on a plane right now, and his cell phone must not be on. Even if I could get in touch, I didn't want to have anything to do with him. Sister Zhou was a bit puzzled, but didn't ask too many questions. Because I had to go to another city in the next few days to promote the newly released movie, I began to pack my luggage, preparing to catch the evening high-speed train. When I was almost done organizing, I lay down on the bed to rest. Sister Zhou sat in the corner and swiped her cell phone. Suddenly, she exclaimed, "Nianwei, look at. They dug up your year so quickly." I took Sister Zhou's cell phone, found trending on social media first article, #Sienna, Sia, Ethan. Prayer beads hashtag. I thought that by ignoring the comments, naturally the heat went down. But to my surprise, a fan took a magnifying glass to those photos and videos. They found out that the prayer beads I begged for in the rain in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral were the same ones Ethan had been wearing on his right wrist. Public opinion was abuzz. Really? All these prayer beads look the same. How can you tell them apart? Upstairs, if you are not a Buddhist, you may not understand. The prayer beads from St. Patrick's Cathedral are different from each other. And there is a small pattern on the inside as a mark, which is for fear of illegal elements stealing and selling forgeries. Yes, Ethan was photographed wearing one of these strings, and it had 4 lines, 3 short and 1 long, engraved on the inside, exactly like the one in Sienna's photo. So Sienna, Sia, was asking for peace for Ethan. Please don't tell me that the prayer beads that Nianwei knelt all night in the pouring rain and begged for were just given to someone else. I feel so bad just typing out this line. On what grounds? I just typed this line and felt so bad. Why? The heat of discussion on this topic soared wildly. Soon, netizens and various marketing numbers picked up more clues. The time Ethan was kidnapped 2 years ago happened to be the date I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral to pray, and a series of pictures of us in the same frame, going in and out of the same hotels, attending the same concerts, and in recent days, we've been seen at wedding hotels, and the earliest of the earliest, even going back 5 or 6 years, are photos. Ethan had just started his business, and that's when we both met. The comments at the bottom were almost all on my side. Sienna, Sia, and Ethan were together when Lily was still abroad, right? So it seems that this Ms. Ryu is actually the homewrecker, she said. Just think, yesterday I was high on Ethan and Lily, and now I'm really grossed out. Won't Mr. Chow come out and tell us what he thinks? Men, what kind of species are they? Why do they change so fast? He's probably not in a position to respond right now. The rumor is that he accompanied Lily to a film festival in Northern Europe. Vomit. Where is my paparazzi group? Now give me a mission to the countries of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Make sure that Joe Dog caught him as soon as he stepped off the plane. Give me to the death to ask questions. I put down my cell phone. As of now, I have not suffered any backlash from public opinion in this sensational discussion, so there is no need to issue a statement. After so many years inside the circle, I still have some experience. Now that I've suddenly waded into this mess, it's hard to say what's going to happen behind me. Sister Zhou glanced at me, revealing an expression of desire to speak. Nianwei, you and Hechuan. I cut off her words. Ethan and I have broken up. There is no relationship anymore. Broken up? Sister Zhou stood up violently so suddenly, he can agree? I laughed. Sister, are you confused? Breaking up this kind of thing is not always unilaterally informed. I need his Ethan's consent. When I got on the high-speed train, Ethan and Lily just got off the plane. It was a business seat, not many people in the compartment, and I was wearing a mask, so I wasn't recognized by passers-by. I guess the whole prayer beads thing was a big deal, and the two girls diagonally in front of my seat were talking about it. Did you see the tweets about that Ethan, Sienna, Sia, Lily love triangle? The other girl said excitedly, I've been swiping my phone for a day, and it seems that many domestic journalists from the Nordic Film Festival are waiting at the airport to interview Ethan. Really? Ha 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 ha. They said, opening the tablet. From my angle, I could just see the screen, some kind of live broadcast from an entertainer. The phone's camera was pointed at the plane that had just landed, and the reporter's voiceover could be heard over the rumbling takeoff and landing sounds. We're at the Norwegian airport right now. Mr. Zhou just got off the plane. He should not have seen the discussion on the internet yet. Just in time. Let's go to the interview. Ethan and Lily walk out of the cabin. With a crash, the waiting reporters all gathered around at once. An entertainer wearing a baseball cap grabbed the lead. She handed the microphone to Ethan and asked, Mr. Zhou, may I ask if the string of prayer beads you gave to Ms. Liu was given to you by Sia? Ethan froze. His brows furrowed as if he thought of something. Thought of what? It couldn't be that I had put it on him. Once, saying under my breath that he wasn't allowed to lose it or I'd be angry. The next moment, Lily took over to, oh, this is a private matter of Kagawa. I don't think you should ask too much, no matter who gave it to me. It represents Kagawa's heart and blessing to me now. Good to be able to do something like giving a flower to a Buddha. It's obvious that the guy isn't any good either. The two girls in the high-speed train carriage discussed in whispers. In the live camera, there was Ethan's security following up, attempting to end the interview, but the reporters were not going to be easily dismissed by a simple sentence or two from Lily. The female reporter in the baseball cap stands back with a microphone. She raised her voice and shouted, the prayer beads are the ones that you were kidnapped and Sia, went up the 3,000 steps of St. Patrick's Cathedral, on her knees, step by step, to get for you to come back safe and sound. What? Ethan jerked back. His voice was low, and his face was so dark. I only told Ethan that I went to the temple to ask for a safe prayer beads. As for the process in between, I didn't mention it to him. How did you say that this prayer beads was obtained by Nianwei? Ethan repeated his question word for word. The live camera zoomed in on his expression. His eyes were cold, but even from across the aisle, through the screen, one could see that it was as if there was a hint of incredulity mixed in with a bit of trepidation in those eyes. The reporter was not intimidated. She took out her cell phone and held it up directly in front of Ethan. Mr. Chow doesn't believe it, though he can see for himself. A fan ran into Sia at St. Patrick's Cathedral that day, and even took pictures and videos. The reporter's cell phone was probably full of those images that fans had posted online at the time. Ethan reached out and took it. His fingertips could even be seen trembling slightly. He finally spoke, his voice hoarse. I didn't know. I thought that it was just a string of very ordinary things. He no longer paid attention to the reporter's aggressive questions, took out his cell phone, turned it on and dialed the phone. A gossipy one far away puts the live camera over, and the off-screen voice comes over. It's for Sia. However, my cell phone didn't ring. Sister Zhou, who was sitting next to me, had been watching the video with great interest, and then snapped over. What's wrong, Nianwei? Why isn't your cell phone moving? I turned off my cell phone, and even if my phone wasn't off, Ethan couldn't have called. Had already been blacklisted by me. The other end of the live feed was a constant beep, beep, beep. Ethan frowned, his expression growing more and more unpleasant. The phone naturally hung up, and after a few seconds, a number called. He picked it up immediately. Of course, it couldn't be me calling. The person on the other end hissed. It sounded even clearer when amplified by the loudspeaker the reporter had quietly set up next to him. Ethan, you heartless son of a bitch. What the hell did you do to our family, Nianwei? Why is the engagement cancelled? Engagement cancelled? Ethan repeated hesitantly. The expression on his face was quite wonderful. Surprise, disbelief, anger, and some sadness. That voice is familiar to me. It's my good friend Lin. She practically growled through gritted teeth. Don't pretend. All your family and friends got a text in the middle of the night yesterday. The engagement is off, and you two broke up. Don't tell me you didn't know anything about it. He took a deep breath and said nothing, then abruptly hung up the phone. Mr. Chow, are you preparing for your engagement to Sienna? Sia? Is it true that you broke up? And what is your relationship with Ms. Liu? The reporters managed to catch a hot topic and frantically threw all kinds of questions at Ethan. He stopped talking, pursing his lips tightly. His gaze was somber, and he quickly glanced over the circle of reporters present. The atmosphere went cold for a moment. A few accompanying company security guards rushed forward and pushed away the reporters who tried to squeeze over, their tone very rude. Originally, we didn't arrange any interviews today, so don't go too far, haha. We have the right not to answer private questions. Please move aside. Some reporters even lost their cameras during the pushing and shoving. A black car parked at the outer edge of the airport. Ethan lowered his head, got into the car, and hurried away from the camera. That's the end of it, huh? Honestly, I haven't seen enough to. A pair of girlfriends sitting in front of them closed their tablets in disbelief. One of them stretched. This is definitely going to be trending on social media again tomorrow. I didn't realize it was still a serial drama. It's so interesting, although I am not very interested in the later development. But I can also guess all kinds of media and marketing number will not let go of the stack of small climax. Within a few hours, trending on social media was definitely going to take over again. I rubbed my temples. A few days later, I had to participate in the film promotion tour of the release movie, the promotional meeting. There would be no shortage of media reporters. When the time comes, the interview questions will inevitably be related to Ethan and Lila Lily. It was a headache. I didn't open my cell phone until I got off the high-speed train, entered the hotel, and packed up my things. Dozens of missed calls and texts all came pouring out at once. For a good 10 seconds or so, my phone kept vibrating. My best friend Lin alone called me 5 or 6 times and then wrote text messages. Way, did you really break up with Ethan? It wasn't easy for you two to get to this point, but I'll always be on your side. He's been tangled up with that little green girl of his all this while. It's really time to knock him out. I typed a line for Lin and sent it back. As for my parents and family, I'm going to talk about it in a few days. It's too exhausting right now, and I don't want to tire myself out in relationships. Tap on entertainment news. The trending on social media phrase changed, but it was still relevant to a few of us. Hashtag Ethan Sienna. Sia. Call off the engagement. Hashtag Sienna. Sia. Rain on Ethan's parade. Hashtag the real Lila Lily. Homewrecker is in the house. Hashtag. Many viewers even ran under Lila Lily, the returned cast's tweets, demanding a statement from the producers. What? You don't even do a background check before you find an actor, and a crew that uses homewrecker actors probably isn't a good one either. Lila Lily has been out of the entertainment industry for so long, and now she's back with such a big production. I don't believe that she doesn't have the resources and connections to do so. You've lost your memory upstairs. Isn't her connection boss Chow? Boycott the return, friends. The return issued an urgent statement shortly afterward. In the statement, the producers released a contract and several screenshots of the chat logs. The contract showed that the original female lead role set for the movie was me, but because of my back injury, I was forced to change the lead role, and in the chat logs, it's a different story. Conversation between the director and Ethan's company. We feel that Sia, fits better with the image of the lead in the returned. In fact, it's not impossible to wait for a while before we start shooting. The crew can also take this time to do some behind-the-scenes preparations. Ethan's side declined. It's not necessary. Lila Lily hasn't been in a movie for too long. She needs a big production to increase her exposure. As for Sia, Mr. Chow wants her to take some time off. The original. It turns out that I wasn't abandoned by the crew in the first place. It turns out that I was always the first choice for the returned. I looked at the clarification from the cast and was stunned. It's also a good thing that the movie I was injured in was equally well received and had good word of mouth. Otherwise, I might have felt more than just regret when I found out the news today. I lay down on my bed. I was just about to throw my cell phone to the side and stop paying attention to these things when the ringtone suddenly rang. Tyler. Ty, why is he calling me? Could it be about the new movie he mentioned the other night? I didn't think twice about it and just picked it up. On the other end of the line, Tyler's voice didn't sound as smooth as before. Nianwei. He was silent for a while. I've seen everything that's been trending on social media in the past few days. Are you okay? It's fine. I thought for a moment and returned. Other than being a bit surprised to see that news about the producer of The Return, the rest of it doesn't affect me yet. That's good. Tyler's tone relaxed noticeably. He changed the subject. Did you know about the festival's awards ceremony being moved up? About a week from now, it should be released from the official public website in the next few days. And then e-invitations will be sent out to the nominees one by one. The festival awards are usually half a month after the nominations are announced. This time, for some reason, it's been moved up almost a week. Because the festival needed to do a lot of preparatory work. The promotion of new movies and film promotion tours were compressed in time, and not many media were invited. I didn't have to deal with all the gossip on social media. The day of the awards ceremony was not very quiet. When it was time to present the Best Actor and Best Actress, Ethan came. I was sitting in the first row and heard a faint clamor from the press gallery. Mr. Chow is here. This is the first time he's shown up since the accident, right? After all. The shortlisted actresses are Lila Lily and Sienna Sia. There was some noise. Ethan doesn't respond. He walked down the long aisle and took the seat next to me. For a split second, the flashbulbs went off like crazy. He held up his wrist as if to say something to me, but I didn't hear. Because the next moment, the presenter on the podium had taken out the list of winners. He pulled a tiny card out of an envelope. Best Actress at this year's festival, Sienna Sia. I was a bit stunned. Lila Lily had been the favorite to win Best Actress before the ceremony, only the critics didn't give any good reviews. It's the high quality of The Return itself that has pulled Lila Lily from being a third-rate actress to a posthumous contender. I returned, and one by one, I accepted the well wishes and congratulations from the people around me. Ethan was close to me, and he held out his hand. Nianwei. I then realized what he just wanted to say to me. It turned out that the prayer beads were back on his right wrist. I don't know what he said to Lila Lily, but I don't care anymore. It's like what's done is done. Once something happens, it can't be changed. I received the trophy from the host. Inside the thank you speech, I mentioned a lot of people. My girlfriends, my manager, my company, are all with me all the way. Although I didn't prepare the speech in advance, some words almost came out of my mouth. The host held the microphone and looked at me with a smile. Nianwei, recently you have a high degree of heat on the internet. After thanking so many people, there's nothing else you want to say, although I know that the prayer beads incident can't be avoided. I still feel tired of really having to clarify and explain. I don't know which photographer. Good thing. At the moment the camera turned, the big screen appeared. Ethan. He was dressed in a black suit, sitting in the front row. His stature was straight. His left hand seemed to be unconsciously rubbing the prayer beads on his right wrist. The camera zoomed in, directly enlarging the prayer beads on Ethan's wrist. The host, of course, understood the meaning of this, and she dragged out her long voice, asking playfully, like a certain Mr. Chow. I took up the subject lightly. As you know, been in love, broken up, from now on, never to be related again. On the big screen, Ethan's hand clenches into a fist. The empty plastic bottle sitting on the armrest was deformed. After the awards ceremony, most of the guests went to the dinner. I stood in the backstage gallery, alone, watching the sunset in the distance. Never again will it matter. Ethan's voice came from behind me, suppressed, angry. Sienna Sia, you've got a lot of nerve. Calling off your engagement without a word to me. Break up? Did I agree? I sneered. Worthy of being Boss Chow, who says one thing and does another. As far as I know, it seems like you don't need your consent for something like a breakup, right? Ethan lowered his head and didn't look at me. Just when I thought it was over, he took a deep breath and his voice was hoarse and dry. It was my fault. I shouldn't have given that string of prayer beads to Lila Lily. I didn't realize you did so much back then. Nianwei. He pulled on my wrist as if he were holding onto a lifesaver. Let's start over, okay? Start over. I looked at Ethan. His frown remained unchanged. But maybe after all these years, the path between the two of us has long since drifted further and further apart. It's not just a string of prayer beads that I cherished. I am just sorry. I really did love him so passionately once. But he never seemed to think it mattered. I shook Ethan's hand away and shook my head. His expression went down with visible sadness. This is as far as it goes, Ethan, I thought that, then turned toward the exit. The light was murky and I didn't look out. Bumping into a man who came in, he held my shoulder and lowered his head. Nian Wei. Surprisingly. It was Liang Yenting. He had just won a movie star, and I thought he would be at the dinner party at this time. I haven't congratulated you yet. It's not too late. It's not too late. I laughed. You came all the way here just to say that. He looked embarrassed and touched the tip of his nose. No, I just wanted to ask if you've thought about the new movie I mentioned to you last time. I got the script from Tyler. The night I decided to cut ties with Ethan. I've read it in the last few days and am quite interested. It's a fire and brimstone story, sort of literary, with the protagonist going through a series of early setbacks and hardships and eventually coming to a new life. I discussed it with my agent, and we both felt that we could take on the play. Well, if there's no problem, then I can contact the crew on my end to discuss the contract. Ty showed a surprised expression. He reached out his hand as if he wanted to hug me, but hesitated to do so. I blinked and simply offered him a big friendly hug. Only not. Even 2 seconds into the hug, Ethan's voice came through. Nian Wei. I turned around just in time to meet Ethan's eyes. His form stiffened in the dim light, and his eyes burned at me with what seemed like a hint of begging. Ethan, I wish you all the best for your future, I said, and I, for one, am off to pursue a new life, saying goodbye to the mire of the past, and to Sia, all the best. Extra Ethan, it was Lily, who begged me to go with her to the film festival in Northern Europe. She has been in poor health since she was a child and has a congenital heart condition. I admit, I pitied her, but this pity has nothing to do with other feelings. She once stared at my wrist and asked me what the meaning of the string of prayer beads was. I thought of Nian Wei. Bless a person with peace. Lily covered her heart, looking fragile and petulant. If I had a string of prayer beads like this, wouldn't I be sick? The moment I took the prayer beads off my wrist and put them on Lily's hand, I almost regretted it, but reason overpowered me. I told myself, it's okay, Nian Wei won't mind. She has always been kind and generous. I will give her more and better things, and won't let her lose to anyone. It wasn't until I arrived in Norway and got off the plane that I realized how wrong I was. The reporter held his cell phone up to my face. I in the video. Nian Wei was kneeling in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral. It was raining hard that day. Raging down on her shoulders, I realized with hindsight that my fingers were shaking. Ethan, you were indeed dead wrong. That night, I took a plane out of Scandinavia and returned home. Before I left, I asked Lily to take the string of prayer beads. She continued to express her dissatisfaction in her usual soft voice. Hechuan, there's no such thing as returning a gift just after you've given it to someone, is there? But now I was just bored. The agreement remains unchanged. Buy any luxury item you want. But not these beads. I can't get Sienna on the phone, and I don't know where she is. I asked the others for the engagement termination message she sent out in the middle of the night. Sia, and Ethan won't be walking together in the future because of personal conflicts. On the airplane, I read that line over and over again. Won't walk together again. I clutched my phone tightly and took a deep breath. I wasn't going to let this happen. We said we were going to be together for a long time. The plane landed and I took the high-speed train to St. Patrick's Cathedral. The temple is built high on a hill. It's fall, no rain, no hot sun. Even so, it takes a lot of time to walk up the steps, not to mention kneeling. I sat in front of the temple gate, looking down the hill. An old monk came out. He took one look at me and asked, "The prayer beads on your wrist. Did you ask for them from St. Patrick's Cathedral?" I stood up in a hurry and bowed. Yes. You don't look like a Buddhist disciple. St. Patrick's Cathedral's tokens are not given freely, only to the faithful or to those who have a destiny. I froze. There were still some people bowing at the foot of the hill. The location of St. Patrick's Cathedral is very remote, but its status in the hearts of the believers is very high. The old monk stopped talking and walked forward until he came to an old tree. There were many red lacquer-stained bamboo sticks hanging on the tree. The tree was over 1,000 years old. The wishes on them were all left by people who came to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and the man who took away the prayer beads for you may have written them here, too. That afternoon, I rummaged through the many signatures. The sun was slowly setting. I finally found Nian Wei's wish in the dark orange light. May Ethan and Sienna, Sia, live long and prospered. I found the old monk and asked him for a bamboo stick, but when I lifted my pen, I hesitated. Not knowing what to write, the old monk was sitting on a bamboo chair, looking very relaxed. Write whatever you most want to ask for right now, he said. I ended up writing only 2 names, Ethan, Sienna, Sia. I'm afraid to admit, I was afraid. I was afraid that Sienna would leave me, completely. When the festival awards were scheduled, my assistant asked me if I wanted to attend. Lila and I had been in the spotlight for a while. For my sake, he advised me not to attend. I refused. I couldn't reach Sia, but I knew she would be at the ceremony. Finally, on the day of the ceremony, I saw Sia, again. She was sitting in the first row. She was so far away from the press, the audience, the media, and me. I walked over to her step by step. She didn't look back. Finally, I sat next to her again. I could have touched her if I'd raised my hand. I wanted to say a lot of Sia. Look, I brought back the prayer beads. I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral. I saw your letter signed. So many words seemed to be stuck in my throat. Before she could say anything, the stage suddenly announced that she was the winner of the posthumous award. She was surrounded by her friends and other celebrities, as if she didn't see me on the podium. She thanked one person after another. It was so hard to mention me at the host's hint, but there was only one sentence. Never again. Never again. My brain exploded. I chased her backstage. How could there be no relationship? I reassured myself that everything would work out. But then I saw another person there, Liu Yin. I've known him since Sia was in college. Liu Yin is a child star and has been in the limelight since he entered college. He's arrogant and aloof, and is known as the flower of the High Sierra. But I knew that he had once courted Sia. I carefully asked Nian Wei for confirmation. She just laughed. Just a joke between friends. Don't mind if I do. Really, I didn't dare tell anyone that in fact, I secretly approached Liu Yin to warn him that it's frowned upon for a third party to interfere. He had his head down. Only after a long time did he say, I know, we have to respect Nian Wei's opinion on this kind of thing. The most I can do is wait. I didn't expect that he would really wait until now. The moment I saw Liu Yin, I knew that my retribution had come. Sia, and Liu Yin hugging. My throat was dry, and my mind was confused. I should have stopped them, but I knew I couldn't keep Sia, and Liu Yin's new movie wrapped up filming a year later. I went to see the premiere screenings, and it was very well received. They said the collaboration between the movie star and the actress was a perfect match. The cast and crew posted a photo from the premiere screenings. Sia, Liu Yin and Sia, Liu Yin are smiling at each other. CP fans were in a group under this tweet. Really ship them. It's official. They're together, right? The official account of the drama team replied ambiguously. Don't worry, the good news will come from the mouths of the 2 leads. I looked at this microblogging, sat on a movie theater bench, and closed my eyes. The past has passed by. Sia, although you wished me all the best in the future, but I can't do it anymore.